What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin. Welcome to the NFL 2016 NFC Championship game between the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Carolina Panthers won 49-15. You're thinking like, yeah, you could just say it was a blowout in video, but there's something to say of why this was a blowout, and I'm gonna get into the individual numbers. Of course, starting with Arizona Cardinals and their passing game. Carson Palmer, 23 of 40, 235 yards, one touchdown, four interceptions. And that's not including the two fumbles that he had. So the guy alone had six turnovers. Then you include the Patrick Peterson fumble on the punt return. And I can't tell you how many teams won games with 7 turnovers. And that is definitely one of the reasons, they get a nice drive, turnover, fumble. I remember after Cam Newton threw the interception, the next play after that from scrimmage for the Cardinals in Carolina territory was a turnover. And they were still within striking distance at that point. Turnovers ruined them. Carson Palmer, even without the turnovers, you look at the beginning of the game, he was missing throws. He was missing, easy routine throws that he's normally been able to make throughout the season. You saw this in the Green Bay game. They were talking about his thumb affecting him. And, that could be an issue, but for him to play that bad, I mean, he was missing throws in the Green Bay game, but he was making some plays. And you got to give some credit to the Carolina defense. They were able to get pressure. They were able to force the fumbles. They were able to get the interceptions, the timely interceptions. There were 2 that were in the end zone. So you got to give credit to them. But even then, he was missing open guys. It's just as simple as that. He played bad. There's no other way of looking at it. The rushing game, David Johnson, 15 carries, 60 yards, and a touchdown. I thought early on he played good, but because of the score, they had to go away from the running game. So that's why that's why it was a total of 16 carries. Andre Ellison had a carry. That's why they really went away from the rushing game, because of the score. So, and up to that point, like I said, he was playing really good. And, he has other purposes why he's the guy out there starting over Ellington. And he had, just looking at the receiving, he had 9 receptions, 68 yards. It's a good receiver coming out of the backfield. He led the team in receptions. It's not too good when your running back leads your team in receptions. Receptions and reception yards. Michael Floyd, 3 receptions, 37. Darren Fells, 2 receptions, 36, and a touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald, 4 receptions and 30. And Larry Fitzgerald is one of my favorite players who's not a Panther. He dropped a couple passes. As I said, Carson Palmer wasn't too accurate in that game. He definitely knew how to throw it to the other team, though. But he wasn't too accurate. But I would say Fitzgerald had probably at least 2 drops from what I remember from rewatching the game. J.J. Nelson, 2 receptions, 25. John Brown, 2 receptions, 23. Jaron Brown, 1 reception for 16. Defensively, I would say Patrick Peterson. He did get the interception and had a really good return. I think they made a few plays, but it's really hard to say when you give up 42 points. But the offense, special teams with the 7 turnovers, they didn't do them any favors. Like I said, you're not going to win too many games with 7 turnovers. But even from the start, you could see they had trouble slowing down what the Panthers was doing. And, the Panthers' offensive line did a good job of protecting Cam Newton. He was able to sit in the pocket, make the throws down the field. He was able to run around. He rushed for 2 touchdowns. So it's really hard to say when you give up 42 points and you really struggle with slowing down the Carolina offense, because Carolina had close to 500 yards of total offense. So and a lot of it were big plays. either a Cam Newton run or long throws down the field. Let me see. Looking on the Carolina side, Cam Newton, 19-28, 335 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And you gotta give credit to the offensive line. Looking at that game, protection was good. His protection was really good. He was able to make some of the throws down the field. I remember the 80-yard touchdown throw to Philly Brown. Protection was amazing. He had time to look down the field. Philly Brown had time to run his route. Got it, threw the ball down the field. He broke a tackle, gone. That was another one of those big plays, and that's why with only 28 attempts, 19 completions, he had 335 yards. But when he got the time, he made the throws down the field. His accuracy has been getting better. That was always the issue. He was missing some guys, and the interception that he did throw, he did miss. I believe it was Ted Ginn. He did miss him. He had Ted Ginn open, but he overthrew him. Interception. That's where his long interception comes from. Carolina rushing, Jonathan Stewart, 19 carries, 83 yards. I think he's played well in the playoffs. He played well in the Seattle game. Played well in this game. He didn't get a touchdown, but I think he's been playing good, and the running game has been at its best when he's in there. Cam Newton, 10 carries, 47 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dude was running hard. He ran through, I can't remember the corner's name, I'm sorry. I think it was Clemens. Ran right through the corner to get that first down on 3rd and 10. And it just shows you how the game was going for Carolina. Physical. They want to run the ball, and they're gonna get 30+ carries a game. That's just that's just how they're gonna play. So to be Cam Newton, be Jonathan Stewart. They even had the end around. Ted Ginn had a carry for 22 yards, and he had I believe the first touchdown Carolina scored. So they mix it up. You got the triple option. They run the triple option. And it's very difficult to stop. You got Jonathan Stewart's a threat. Cam Newton's a threat. Then the pitch man is also a threat. So it's difficult to game plan for something like that. Mike Tolbert, 3 carries, 4 yards, and a lot of us like garbage time guys. Receiving, Corey Brown, 4 receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown. Greg Olsen, 6 receptions, 113 yards. Ted Ginn, 2 receptions, 52. Devin Funchess, 2 receptions for 21. Jericho Cotchery, 2 receptions, 17. Mike Tolbert, 1 reception for 14. So not a bunch of receptions, but if you look at Corey Brown, Greg Olsen's big plays. Corey Brown had an 86-yard. Greg Olsen had a 54-yard. And like I said, Cam Newton was hitting the targets down the field, and these guys have been getting open. Got to give credit to Shula, man. He's been drawing up some amazing stuff. The guys have been getting open down the field. As I said, the offensive line's been protecting Cam. And anybody that says Cam does it by himself, you're wrong. There's no way you make it to the Super Bowl and you're doing it by yourself. There are other guys out there making plays, not only just looking at it defensively, offensively. At the receiving core, not a bunch of talent, but the game plan is great, and the guys are getting open, and Cam Newton's accuracy has improved throughout the season. Let me see. The Carolina defense, Luke Kuechly was making plays. He had an interception, but this was at the end of the game. He had an interception return for a touchdown. Thomas Davis was making plays, but unfortunately he broke his arm. So probably won't see him in the Super Bowl. He said he's going to play, but no way he's going to play in 2 weeks with a broken arm. So he's probably not going to play in the Super Bowl. It's a huge loss because he was playing really good up until that point. I remember one play, he blew up the running game. He knew what the play was. He pretty much knew what the play was. Kurt Coleman had the 2 picks in the end zone. The guy's been a ball hawk all year. He's been really good in coverage. He's been making plays back there, and he's been getting turnovers. So you definitely give him some credit. Charles Johnson, I believe he had the 2 forced fumbles. Let me see. I remember him having one of them where Carson Palmer was about to throw the ball. He stripped him. So I thought up front, those guys were able to get some pressure. Like I said, they got the 2 fumbles. So they were able to get some pressure when they needed to. Jared Allen didn't play in this game. Connie Ely came in, but it was mainly Charles Johnson. It was those interior pass rushers. Those guys were out there making plays. Shaq Thompson was probably going to be a starter, started in the Super Bowl in place of Thomas Davis. The guy's coverage skills is good. He came in as a safety from college, and he's been a big addition. He's been making plays. You can have him covering different guys. He even covered receivers in this game. He covered tight ends. They like him in coverage. They like him moving sideline to sideline because he's a fast guy. He's a smaller linebacker, but when you got someone like that, you want him in coverage because he has coverage skills. So I thought multiple guys made plays in the secondary. Even Cortland Finnegan, Coach Josh Dorman didn't throw the ball. You look at his numbers weren't great, but they really didn't throw the ball his direction. They really didn't throw the ball they really didn't throw the ball in his direction, and that's a good thing. When you force guys away from you, pretty much cut off a side of the field. I think the defense played good. They had some possessions where Arizona had some success moving the ball, but for the most part, they were able to get the turnovers. They were able to get the stops and get off the field. And that's what you want. Looking at the team stats, Arizona 3 of 10 on third down. Carolina 8 of 14. Huge difference, man. But let me check something else. Of course, the 7 turnovers. Arizona, Carson Palmer sacked 3 times, but you got to look at the other pressure. Cam Newton wasn't pressured that much. Carson Palmer was. And 2 of those sacks ended up leading to turnovers. Penalties. Arizona 8 penalties, 51 yards. Carolina 5 of 45. Penalties around the same. Didn't really impact the game that much. Like I said, the 7 turnovers, Carolina only had 1. To me, that's the difference in the game. Because Arizona turned the ball over at points where they could have cut into the lead, turn the ball over, Carolina goes and gets some kind of points out of it. Time possession. Arizona 23 minutes, 21 seconds because you had to go in pass mode. Then turnovers gave Carolina the ball back, and Carolina, they're going to run the ball. They're going to be methodical, especially if the run game's successful. It's going to take off. It's going to eat up a lot of that clock. And then that was one thing they did. Carolina 36 minutes, 39 seconds in terms of time possession. But I don't know how many times I got to say this. Turnovers. You look at this game, turnovers lose you the game. Carson Palmer alone had 6. Carolina heads to the Super Bowl 50, faces the Denver Broncos. The one thing you have to fear with that Denver Broncos is that pass rush. Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, Derek Wolfe, those guys dominated that Patriots game. And they could definitely be a problem if they're not game plan for. If they're not, guys like Von Miller, you do not want to block him one-on-one. You want to get some help. But let me know what you think down in the comment section about what you think about this game. Obviously, I probably know what you think. Complete domination by the Panthers. But anyways, let me know what you think. Hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. And thanks for watching.